Hello, hello. um, my name is Heather Aston, and this is my channel, TT's Trinkets and Treasures. I'm trying to get that glare in the corner off for you all. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. This is my channel, TT's Trinkets and Treasures. If this is the first time you stumbled across one of my videos in this little corner of the World Wide Web, we all know as YouTube, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. I hope that you will find this video informative and entertaining enough that it'll make you want to hit that subscribe button and change the notification bell to all so that you never miss the release of one of my videos in the future. If you are a returning viewer, otherwise known as my treasures, love you all. I'm so happy you're here. I hope that you will all want to hit that like button and maybe leave me a note after the live to let me know what you thought, or if there's something you would like me to focus on in a video in the future. Okay, I got a big smudge on my glasses. Got to get rid of those. Oh, it's driving me crazy. So today it's still there. What is on my glasses? I don't see my actual polishing cloth, so I'll just have to do the best I can. There. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter where the curtains are hanging. Today, I'm sorry it took me a minute to come on. Just as I went live and then I looked down and my face camera wasn't connected. So I had to jump out and then jump back in order to actually go live. So let's take a minute and see who's here. Hello, Cindy and Lynn. Hello, Sid. I hope you guys are all managing to get through right now. It's a little weird not having Rosanna here. It's a little disconcerting, to say the least. Also, there is a possibility that I will have to take a phone call if it comes in. We have a little family thing going on, and so I want to be completely upfront with you that if I got a phone call, I would be muting to find out what was going on. And if I was needed further, then I would have to let you guys all go. It's just that I love my bead family, but you guys know. You guys are all moms and daughters and sisters and everything else. So today, I'm going to be showing you the wire link that I was playing around with this morning. I will not call it my link because I don't know, but I know I'm not the first one to come up with it. So, in fact, it's a very real possibility that I've seen somebody else make it, and I just can't remember when or where. What is on my glasses? Oh my goodness, you just can't see. Because I'm not wearing organic or wearing cotton. That's a little bit better. Okay. So, and then I'll be live tonight, barring the same thing. Oh, thank you, Lynn. I appreciate it. I know you guys would all understand and that it wouldn't be an issue in any way, shape, or form. I've got to pop off to take care of mine. You know how it is. Okay, so because of that, I'm saying we're doing a beaded link, and I'm teaching you the beaded link today, and that's what we're doing. Hello, Barbara. But I'm hoping we can design a full piece. I just don't want to be over ambitious and say that we're going to do a whole piece and then us not have time to do so. When I wasn't teaching, it took me 3 minutes, give or take, to make the link. And they are long enough that it's not like we would be needing a whole lot of them. They're about 1.5 inches, or right under 4, right about 4 centimeters. So we wouldn't need much of them, but there are ways that we can zhuzh them up ourselves. Okay. Just a second. Okay, you're out of stoplight. Okay, yeah, don't be texting while you're driving. You will get put in timeout, Missy. I love a good beaded video, but yeah. Oh good. She liked that. I'm sure she knew that my waving was for her, but just in case, I didn't want to not acknowledge her presence here. So let's go down to the mat and I will show you the beaded link that we are going to work on today. So we're going to be doing this little link right here. The reason I said it could be altered and changed and everything else is because you could wire wrap, which I would regardless. Like I will wire wrap around that with some 20 gauge wire to make sure that like everything's secure and it doesn't get caught on like a dress like this where it goes between the buttons or whatnot. So you could also wire wrap like a smaller bead in the middle here if you wanted to. And you could also create this loop at the top, put the bead on, and then do a loop on the bottom as well. So there's a few different ways that you can take this chain and do variations. Yeah, you guys, if you need to do your hair, listen, I'm telling you, Brad Mondo's color depositing gloss treatments is how I've been dyeing my hair for 1.5 years now. It is an actual protein bonded treatment for your hair, but it deposits colors on it. One tub costs $25 to $30, depending on where you get it. If you have a coupon, whatever else, about $30. I got 3 treatments out of that one tub. And because it's semi-permanent, it naturally fades. If it turns out that you don't like the color, get some clarifying shampoo and use that every day until it's gone. But it also makes it incredibly easy to keep up with it. And I'm not sponsored by him or anything else. I'm not sponsored by anybody. Let's be real. Except for me, myself, and I. Well, Steve. Steve sponsors a bead video every now and again. Like, yeah. Hi, Kelly. But like, girls, it's awesome. And he has so many colors. They're available on his website, on Amazon. They're available at Sally Beauty all over the US. So there's plenty of places you can find it. When you go to rinse it out, you're going to think, oh my gosh, this is staining. This is this is that. It doesn't. It's not. It doesn't stain. Like, legitimately, I've felt like doing a video where I put a glob of it on my nose and like do a time lapse video and wash it off just so everybody can see that it does not stain, which I love. So, Brad Mondos is awesome. He has a YouTube channel with several million people that subscribe. Go check him out. But yeah, because then you're not having to like figure out box dye over box dye over box dye, going to the salon over and over and over again. And even if you can only get one treatment out of one tub, it's still cheaper than going to the hairdresser to get a haircut nowadays. So just saying, just my 30 cents worth. But yes, so yeah, Kelly, if you can't afford it, girl, I'm telling you, look it up. He has so many colors. He has natural colors, and then he has all of the like pinks and purples and blues and greens and in varying shades and sizes and whatever else. But if you're a blonde, he also has a foam that you can literally put on your hair and switch up the tone of it just using this like mousse foam stuff on a daily basis. You can switch up your look. If you wanted to look more silver versus more platinum versus like a more natural blonde, whatever it is, girls, I promise you, go check out his products. If there's one you think that you're like, yes, then go. He also has a whole line stuff that's great for people with curly hair. And he's actually done videos where he's shown that his wave tech foam stuff, that even people with stick straight hair like mine, it takes a minute with like a diffuser, blow dryer, and whatever, but you get a little bit of a wave in your hair, or you can then style it and it stays curly better, which I've tried it. It does. My daughter tried another product and was like, nope, going back, mom, kid. And it was a more expensive one. So she's been using it. She actually has curly hair. So she's a lucky girl. It skipped a generation. Okay, so you're going to want to start with a 4-inch piece of wire. I am using 18 gauge. Now, if 18 gauge is rough for you guys, you can go down to 20 gauge. It is totally fine. I would just maybe do like a little tappy tap on it with your nylon jaw pliers, or this will flatten it more, but you can stick it in between your box joint here and just do like little squishes. Like that's not like I'm barely touching it. That's not going to flatten it to the point that it's not going to be able to get a bead on, but just saying. So you're going to want to make sure that your bead can fit on 18 gauge wire. Again, if not, you can go down to 20 gauge. It's perfectly fine. Now, if you do not like having to put marker on your ruler or your wire because it seems to smudge off, this is my recommendation. I know that this was 4 inches long. I know it takes about 3/4 of an inch of 18 gauge wire to make my first loop. So I just moved the wire down to the 3 1/4 length. I know they're not perfectly straight, sorry. And do your bend at the end of your ruler. So then you know where your first bend is, because that's the only part that you really need it measured. The rest of it is just by going about. And this is, I'm using extra wire to make it easier for people who may be new to wire wrapping. So I just want to, I'm going to pull this down and I'm going to pull Pixie back just a little bit. Don't mind the mess. Okay, there we go. I just want to stay on frame while I'm teaching this. So I'm in the curve at a 45-degree angle. So I'm not completely horizontal or vertical. I'm like in between. I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to push it up, over, and down on the wire itself. Then I'm going to rotate so I'm parallel with my mat, and I'm going to pull this back. Now, I like, especially with 18 gauge wire, to do a little pull. I should have shown you what it looked like before I did that. But in order to get the roundest loop I possibly can. Then you can either leave this on the mandrel or you can take it off to wrap this loop. Different people feel differently about the way to do this, but yes. Then you can either use your finger or pliers to just go down and around back to where the loop started. Oops, I wasn't quite as far around. I like to take it just past where I'm going to cut it so that it sits like that more naturally, and I don't have to come in later and like tuck a bunch of stuff in. So I'm gonna cut that off right about there. I like to do it more on the side than on the front or back. And the reason for that is I don't like there to have to be a front or a back. By doing that, it's on the side. You're not as like committed to do. I hope you know what I'm saying. I don't know. Anyways, then you're going to take one of your beads. This is the 8mm red jasper that came in this month's box. Oh, the second reason is by doing it back on the side, this sits more level. Although it looks like I went around just a tad bit too far. Let's see if I can fix this or not. If not, it's okay. That should be good. I'm going to squish this up just a little bit. I just want there to be a flat surface so that when I slide my bead on, there's not a space between the loop and the bead. So I had to trim that a little bit because it was sitting up like that rather than flat up against the bead. So I can see that this loop isn't entirely centered. So if that's the case, and you're probably going to have to do this at the end anyways, just kind of notch it back to where you get it. And then you're going to take your pliers, and I don't put my pliers right up against the bead. I leave a space because if I don't, there's not enough room to get my pliers through. So I'm going to go up just a tad, and then I'm going to bend it. I'm not doing a full 90-degree angle because that's not what we need. Then using the fourth step of my pliers, and yes, it's going to be kind of off at first. We'll fix that. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to come up, over, and down. I'm going to rotate my plier, and I'm going to pull it back. Now, this is where the like wrapping happens, and we will have to recenter this at the end to get everything to line up anyways. So don't think that you're like doing anything wrong. Then you're just going to continue to wrap until you get just past the center of your loop. So one side will only have one wrap while the other side has two. That's correct. Then you can come in here right here, take your flat nose pliers and bend your wire back out. Doing it on the plier was easier for me than trying to hold on to both of these loops and bend that one and bend that angle. And then you're just going to put your other bead on. Hold on, this like put this back on a bit. It's like my loop, I wasn't as tight as I should have been. So I'm just going to try to tighten this up ever so slightly. and we will adjust everything. You don't want them really loose, otherwise these loops don't hold their shape. So then you're going to stick your other 8mm red jasper bead. You can see it's crooked right now. We're going to fix it. Don't worry about it. And then again, you're going to leave a bit of space between your pliers and your bead and do a little bend. And then you're going to do your other loop. See how far up I am from that bead? Rotate it down. And I will show you how to fix those loops so they stay round as soon as we're done. Then you're going to take your wire and you're going to bend it around and back down, just like we did with the first loop. Okay. Oops, I went a little too far around. There we go. And then you're just going to come in and cut your wire. And then this is where the zhuzhing, which is a very technical term. And we're going to try to get our loops lined up and looking nice. This one is bent a little far. See? So I'm just going to come in. I'm going to hold on to the bead. And I'm going to get that one more straight. And then I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find my other pliers and tuck those in just a bit on this last loop that we did. Hold on to the bead and just kind of stick it in. Now, is that ideal? No, I wish I had cut more off, but I'd rather, even in this instance, have too much than not enough. So there's a little space right there too that I wish I had seen, but it's okay. So there you go. There is a little beaded link. It didn't take long to go through all of it. Obviously, I will demonstrate it again. That's why I have this other wire pulled out. But is there any part of it that was difficult? The name is Brad Mondo. Yeah, Ex Mondo by Brad Mondo. It's amazing. And you can keep your hair touched up yourself. So, okay, here is our little wrapped link. I'm going to go through the whole process one more time. And then we'll come back and we'll come in with the 26 gauge wire. And I'll show you a couple of things you can do. Like you can take the wire across the beads here and there. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. So I want to show you the basic link twice and then go from there. Again, I know this is 4 inches. I know that I need about 3/4 of an inch to make a loop. So I'm going to hold my wire on the ruler and bend it down. Instead of marking my wire with Sharpie and then having to come in, Sharpie wears off a wire very quickly. So that's why I do it. It's also why I like my 6-step bail making pliers, because I can tell you exactly what step I'm on and I don't have to have marker on my round nose pliers. It just works out better. So the first step of your plier is the loop size, and all of this is customizable. You can make this loop bigger in the center than the beads. You can make it smaller. It's completely up to you. But this one link has so many possibilities. It's fun. So bend it down, come back parallel, push my wire up, like so. Grab onto my pliers or the wire, and I'm going to pull it tight. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull it down. I have this too low on the mandrel. And I'm just going to, tuck that in like that. I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut right on the side of the wire. Make sure that your wire is not caught in your cutter down here when you go in to do this side cut, because I can't tell you the number of times I've accidentally cut my wire like down here instead of just here. So just letting you know, this is just a tad bit off center, but you just have to do the littlest bit of adjustment and we're back and flush. So let's find some of these beads with personality, because those are my favorite. And there is another version of red jasper called brachiated jasper, and it has a lot of like all of these imperfections. And then there's the red lightning jasper that has quartz in it, or like this bead is mostly quartz with a little bit of red jasper in it. So there's like, I love like that. See all of that quartz going through on the bead. Hi, Cheryl. Cheryl, I didn't make it last night. It was a family thing, so we're gonna have to go down tomorrow to figure out the marble stones, or the actual river stone. So that's why. I do have tourmaline. I'm not sure where it is right at this moment, but I can send you a picture later on. That's not a problem at all. The other thing about this, guys, is you don't have to just use round beads. You can take this, like after this next one, I'll make one with these square beads and do round in the middle. So do that in just a second. Okay, we have our loop. We're going to put a bead on. We're going to come up just a tad, like a millimeter. It doesn't have to be a lot of space. You just don't want your pliers right up against your bead. I'm going to turn it on the side too. Bend it just a smidge. If you do too tight of a bend here, it will come back to bite you when you're trying to adjust and get everything lined up properly, and it won't look as good, is all I'm saying. And you guys, I did this. I was on the phone with Leah at 10:15 this morning. I did this. I think there were some I threw away, but like I was sitting here like playing with it, trying to figure it out. And I was able to do so. So, and I'm saying that not to like brag, but to encourage you that you can absolutely do this. Okay, we're going to go around the fourth step, and we're just going, see right there, it's not quite right under that bead. And again, you can always come in and use your plier to make sure that that's staying as round as you want. Again, you can come in right now and pull it. And then I'm going to do a slight bend right there. I'm going to, I need to make the bend closer to the center of this. So I'm going to go with my flat nose pliers, and I'm just going to straighten that wire out since I put the bend too soon. So we want to go past. And like right now, I'm just going to use my thumbnail to bend it rather than grabbing another pair of pliers. I wonder if Pixie has something on him. Let me see, because this focusing thing is driving me nuts. So I can only imagine how irritating it is for you. I have like 5 polishing cloths. Here's what. Ugh. Let me see if like rubbing the camera will help. If not, I'll give a good like deep cleaning tomorrow. Let's see. Much better. Okay, yes. All right, now you have the loop, and we just need to come back and do our, no, Heather, you have it the right way. Yes, you have it the right way. We're going to put our mandrel, again, just a little bit up from where the wrap is, but then come around and down, make it parallel, bring it up. So not centered. It's okay. We will fix that. And oh, I know why it's not working. Heather, see? I don't know that I'll be able to fix this, but I'm going to try. I forgot to put my other bead on. How many people were yelling at their screens? Let me put it back on the mandrel and see if I can't. There we go. Now I can take this without worrying about like messing up my loops. Just take my nylon gel plier and straighten that up. The true test will be putting the bead on and seeing if it can get down to our loops. We'll try. We're going to try. Let's see if it's a possibility. If not, it's just wire. Okay. We're going to pull this tight and then just take it around and back. We're going to come in and we're going to cut on the side. Okay, now these are all off center, but it's okay. We're going to fix it right now. And it's not difficult to do this. Come on. There we go. We're just going to come in and we're going to play with it a little bit. I'm actually going to pull out my round nose pliers just for a little bit of an assist here in getting these all like lined up. Kind of swoosh these center ones together. Make sure everything is centered. I see that this loop is off center as well. So I'm gonna actually put my pliers back in there. I grabbed another pair of those, not round nose. I was like, what are those? Okay, so this loop isn't all the way centered. So I'm just gonna put it back in and fix that. You'll see there's a bit of a gap here. That's because the wire bent up instead of like it should have. There we go. And if ever you end up with a loop that you don't necessarily like the shape of, take your round nose pliers and put them in as far as you can push this back as you're just kind of rotating it, and your loop will end up being a lot more centered. See, you don't always have to scrap a length because it's not what you wanted it to be to begin with. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of finagling to like get everything where you want it. Just kind of move it around. And there you go. This wire is also up. Must have happened when I didn't make sure that was flat. Up against the wire is the problem. That was my bad. But there we go. You have a nice little wire wrapped link again. Is this my favorite? No, but that's okay. Does someone, oh, I was out of frame. Okay, let me do it again. That's fine. That's why I made sure I had plenty of wire cut and that I had like all of my tools here. So this is a 4-inch piece of wire. I know that I'm going to need about 3/4 of an inch in order to make my first loop. So I'm just going to use the end of my ruler to make the little bend. With the first step, I'm going to make the first loop coming up, over, and down. Go parallel so I can pull this back. And if you don't have your loop right up against the next barrel, it makes it much easier to wrap. Because if you're trying to wrap around this, you can't get it the way you want it because there's not room for the wire, let alone the pliers, to go in there. So just pull it down, come in, grab this, bend, and then come around. You're going to cut it on the side, right where it comes up against the loop. So here's the loop, here's the wire. First of all, I'm going to put these on and make sure that this is on flat. That is something I want to do. I'm going to make sure that the wrap itself is flush with the bottom of the loop. And it is. Okay. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut literally where it meets the wire right there. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to take my cutters in there and see how easy it could be to get that wire caught in the back. We're going to turn that off, make sure it's enough so that it will sit. This is just a tad bit. There we go. Now we have our lollipop, as Kelly Sutton would say. Okay, we're going to use these two. We're going to put a bead down. We're going to make sure that our wrap is up against our loop by making sure there's no gap between that wire and your bead. You're going to make a slight bend after you leave about 1 millimeter worth of space between your pliers and your bead, and you're going to bend ever so slightly, guys. It doesn't need to be like a perfect 90-degree angle because that will come back to bite you again. Oh. Okay. Then we're going to use the 4th step to make the next loop. And I picked that because it was about, I believe it's like 7 millimeters or something. So it fit with the 8 millimeter bead. But like I said, you could do a little loop here. There's a whole bunch of stuff, which I will show you once we've got to where you guys have seen this from start to finish this second time. Okay, so we're going to push up, over, and down, and then we're going to rotate our pliers, and we're going to keep bending back. And see, even right here where the barrel has some distance. So we're just going to wrap this until it kind of meets up. And we can center this loop after we're done with the rest of it. So don't stress. I promise there's nothing to worry about. I am, however, going to tighten this loop. And when you, let's not undo it, Heather. There we go. Let's hope that, how did I do that again? That was a silly, silly mistake. Basically, I didn't hold on to the wire in between the two barrels. So when I went to straighten it, it just undid itself. So let's see, where are we at? We need to pull this around a little bit more. A little bit further than that. And then I'm going to bend it again, a very slight bend, and we will fix all of the alignment once we've got all of our wrapping completed. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to go just above the bead. Actually, I'm going to play with this just a little bit. I said we can, and we can, but if I can fix this a little bit now and save myself some effort in a little bit, I think it's worth it. But you see, all I'm doing is using my fingers. No, you can't see. All I'm doing is using my fingers to make sure that all of my circles are lined up. So you just, it's not difficult to come back and play with it and fix it up later. So again, we're going to come just above the bead. We're going to make our bend. We're going to use our first step. And if you haven't realized, 4 inches is also the measurement if you want to use the second step rather than the first step. I forgot to mention that. I apologize. There is plenty of wire if you do a 4, if you want it, if you want the loop to be a little bit bigger, the top and the bottom. Okay. So see, this one's pretty centered. We'll have to do a couple of little adjustments. I'm sorry I didn't think to wipe this off yesterday. I could not focus on anything yesterday, and it didn't even cross my mind. Okay, I'm going to grab onto the wire and kind of just make sure that my loop is where it needs to be. We're going to come around, and we're going to, again, cut on the side of this loop as much as possible. And then we're just going to look at it. This one doesn't need as much fixing because I did a little bit while it was on the mandrel. But there you go. Now, there is a space here, and that's where the 26 gauge wire is going to come in. But you can also come in and squish them back together just using your pliers. It's perfectly, that's perfectly fine too. If you don't want to go in or you don't have the wire to go in, you can leave it like this and it's still a perfectly good length. I'm going to pull in some 26 gauge wire just so that I can pull those loops together. Wait, oh. Where is that? There we go. Okay. I just want to cut the wire there because it was bent in that little slit. And, you know, that could weaken the wire. Again, for this, you're only going to need a couple of inches, but to make it easier on yourself, I would cut a little more rather than a little less. And then I'm just going to hold my loop on the single side where it is. And then I'm going to come around and go back through and pull that tight. I'm going to do it a second time. And I really like to use my pliers when I'm doing like a process like this. And if you are wondering why I'm using this shorter piece to do my wire wrapping, that will be evident in just a second. Okay, so there you go. 3 little tight wraps right around the side. You can just put that on. You can grab your other pair of pliers to just kind of take it by both ends and slight, you know, you don't want to like pull on it a lot because that would be bad. Okay, now if you wanted to, as I discussed earlier, you could put another bead in the center. So the one that I'm going to try to find real quick, there it is my 4mm river stone that I got from Bernie's. Obviously, I know that not everybody has Bernie at their disposal, but I was going to try to unknot it without them all going everywhere, but it's okay. But you have me, and I'm sure you have other 4mm beads that you can put in here. You could use the Alaskan jasper. You could wire wrap beads around this on both sides if you wanted to. The possibilities are just endless. So I'm going to go ahead and put that 4mm bead on like so. And then I once again am going to use my pliers to help me with this wrap. You can use your fingers if that's what's easier for you. And you're just going to do 3 wraps on this side. Oops. Gotta get that in. There's my, is that 3? It looks like 3, but the other side looks like 4, so it's okay. We're going to do one more time. Okay. And then just make sure your loops are nice and straight. And do they have to be perfect? Not in the least. This side now looks like there's 5 wraps. So I'm going to see if I can't get one more wrap out of this little itty bitty piece. The end of this wire. May not be. Grab my thinner pliers. Oh, I think I got it. There we go. And then you're just going to cut off the ends. I'm going to pull this a tad bit tighter one more time. Cut these off. And then you have a beaded link, and there's a smaller bead in the center there. And this is a 4mm bead. So if you wanted to, you could use the second step and basically get this size, but it would work. I am making wire wrapped links, or like wire links. So this was, we started out with it just like this. And then on this one, I went ahead and put a bead in. But if you only wanted to wire wrap the one side to make sure that it's not coming apart like that, that's perfectly okay too. Whichever way it is that you wanted to do this, that's what you're going to do for you. I want you guys to have fun playing and exploring and testing out your new skills. And my goal is to make you feel at the end of the video that this is something you can do yourself. I don't want you to ever feel like that's way too difficult, my skills aren't there, that kind of a thing, because I know that you can all do this. If you need to cut more than 3 inches to accomplish this so that you don't have to sit there with your pliers feeding it back through, that's what you got to do. The biggest thing is when you're wire wrapping, make sure you don't get a kink in your wire, because the kink equals weakness. So if you're pulling it through and it's a longer piece, just make sure that the loop that's coming around doesn't get twisted. Does that make sense? I hope that made sense. So here's when somebody's in heat at the very beginning, and the boys are, sniffing. So she's Queenie Pooh, please stop, baby. I don't know where I went. But I want you guys to feel that this is accessible. Do you want me to show you the link one more time? Do you want me to show the wire wrapping part of it again? Is there some part of this that you would like me to show again? And or do you want me to show you it with a loop up here, a bead here, and a loop there? I haven't actually done it, but I know it's possible. I've done something similar on a completely different type of link than this, but that was part of it. So I hope that you guys, that this is something you're going to give a try. I don't know why I just messed with that, but I can't help it. Wire wrapped anything becomes a fidget toy for me, and I sit there and I fidget with it and I fidget with it. Yes, Gracia, which part? The whole thing again? I don't mind doing so. I've only done it 3 times, so it's not, I don't mind doing it. I was also going to show how it looked with a square on top and a square on bottom. So we can always do that right now as well. Oh, and guys, we well, I decided that what we're going to do for the like stuff for the sale, instead of doing like just a strand of these, I broke them up into baggies that have 25 of the squares, and then there's one of the larger marble jasper beads in it. And I'm going to do something similar to that with these. And then I packaged up some Botswana agate rice beads. And I'm going to put like a pendant size something in the bag with it and like call it designer's choice, to where you can do what you want with it, but you're getting more of like a focal along with the other beads. So you're not trying to have to like go and buy other beads to make sure that you can use them. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm like, wait, did I explain that right? No, I did. And then obviously we have the pendants. Not all of them are going to have like coordinating beads, but I'm going to try. So that's what we did well, I started it after the live yesterday, but that's all we did from the time Steve got home till we went to bed, because you guys all said don't worry about restranding them because that takes so much more time than counting them out and sticking them in a baggie. But yeah. Okay, I will do all of it. I'm going to do it with these squares though, because I said I would show that. So I want to use 2 of these squares instead of the red jasper. I was not prepared with the dish to put these in, which was not smart of me. So we'll just take however many out I need to reknot this. I usually do not pull this knot like that tight. That way I can still undo it. But that strand wasn't opened yet. So, okay. Oh, no, you needed that, Heather. Hello. All right. And this may be way more wire. It's going to be way more wire than we need, because I'm only going to use the 3rd step, because these are like, I think they're 5 by 5 millimeter square beads. So they're smaller. Please say that you fit on here. They do not. So now I'm going to grab some 20 gauge wire to show you that you can do this with 20 gauge wire as well. And if you strengthen it with the wrapping around in your loop, you'll be good. 20 gauge is also possible. I'm going to go down. I'm sure that 3 inches would be long enough, but I don't want to have to stop and grab another piece of wire. So we're going to take this right there, so I have enough room to bend that over to make the first loop. First step, we're just going to make our wrapped loop on the end. The most important thing of this is don't use the skinny chain nose for that is that when you bring this around, that you cut on the side, oops, so that your bead is sitting flush up against the bottom of your loop. So just using a little hybrid loop. I don't know why that got so bent up all of a sudden. Center this because it is not. I don't know if this happens to everybody else, but like when you go from one gauge down to another, it feels completely different than when you go up. So coming down from like the 18 gauge to the 20 gauge, all of a sudden this feels like it's 24 gauge wire. But if I was going from 22 to 24, it would feel like 18 gauge wire. Or at least that's what happens to me. Where's the hole? Hello, I know you have a hole, sir. There you are. That little bend is going to keep it from going on my wire. I'm hoping these fit. Wow, they're not even going to fit. That's not good. Okay, we won't be showing it with these squares. Let me find, I have other squares, so we're good. Do I have any thing I can use from right here? No, but I just remembered that I just happen to have some red jasper squares. So we're going to slide our square bead down onto the wire right here. We're going to do a bend, keeping our pliers about 1 millimeter away from our bead. And we're going to go down to, you could do the 4th step still. I'm just wondering if I cut enough wire. I think I did. Let's do the 4th step again, because this is 20 gauge wire. So you're just going to come around and keep bending. And then you can either use your pliers. I'm going to use my thumbnail just to kind of, I don't think this is going to be enough wire. Oh, yes, it will be. Okay. I'm going to try to like, not entirely happy with the shape of this center loop. And I think it's just because the loop isn't as tight, because I didn't pull the wire before I did the little bend. It's all. And I should have done the bend with my pliers on this one so that it was crisper. There we go. Now we should be able to put our other square on, give it a little bend, create the loop, and then zhuzh this all to looking pretty. And I'm calling these a link, but you guys, you could do this for a pendant as well. Play around with the measurements to make sure that, you know, you have enough wire for whatever sizes your beads are. And I just The way I do it when I'm first starting out is that I keep all of the wire that I cut off, and then I kind of measure that up with to see how much excess I had. Now, we all know that we can't just do the excess because then there would be nothing to hold on to. That's kind of cool looking too. I like that. That is kind of cool looking. I like that it's like the two different shapes. So there's that. And then, hi. I like that. We're going to cut a piece of wire. I'm going to cut a little bit more than what I need because I kind of have a bit of an idea. Quinn, please stop. I'm going to pull this down and around to wrap around the side that has two wraps is what we're doing right here. Okay, there's three wraps. Now, you could absolutely go and wire wrap this all the way around. That's completely up to you. I would guess that it would probably take, I would start with 12 inches of wire to get around a loop. That's the fourth step. By wrapping all the way around, it's going to take more wire to wrap this side, obviously, because there are two pieces of wire there, whereas the other side only has one. So it's totally a guesstimation, but I would start with 12 inches of 26 gauge wire to get all the way around. And then if you want to put a bead in, all you're going to do is put the bead on your wire, get it to where it's in the center, and you might like push the bead up so it's sitting in and not behind the loop. And then you're just going to take your wire, and I made it longer so that I could show you this. So if you're using a longer piece of wire, the last thing you want to happen is for it to twist so that when you're pulling it through, it creates a kink. You have a really long piece, it works to kind of keep your finger inside the loop until you obviously can't hold on to that anymore. But then you're just going to keep doing wire wraps here until there are 3 on this side as well. And see, that's why I like my pliers. See how it keeps like jumping back out of the loop when I make it? That's why I personally like to use my pliers. I'm gonna like clean those up. Now, if you were to do more wraps, You could also like come up, maybe come around the bottom of the bead first, and then on the next wrap you can come up and come around the loop like that, which you can use 24 gauge wire if you wanted to be able to see that wire a little bit more. You could also, once you've gone around, come back and go back down. So then you have that little curve on both sides, on both sides of the bead. So you don't have to worry what is front or back. So let's see what it looks like with 24 gauge wire for wrapping the center bead. Just so that we kind of know what it would look like. That's 22. I need 24 gauge. That's 20 gauge. You guys want to believe how many like half-used spools of wire I had all around this. Oh, that's right. It fell. Hold on one second. I'm like going through this. I'm like, I know I have 24 gauge wire. So let's see. These are just links, Cassie, that you can build together. And you can just have the links all the way up. You could have like a section of beads like this, and then you put that, and then you do beads above it on standard beading wire. It's just a little wire link. So let's try that again, especially because I think I can get those squares on the 18 gauge wire, which would be my preference. And then you all have an idea how to make this a clear pendant. I'm so excited. Please go on. Please go on. They do. They both do. Okay. So 4-inch piece of 18 gauge wire. I know that it takes roughly a quarter of an inch to do one of my hybrid loops without leaving myself with no wire to do so, making it more difficult on myself. So I'm going to take my wire. I'm going to put the first step of my mandrel in the little bend that I just created. I'm going to go up, across, and down. I'm going to rotate my pliers so they're parallel with my bead mat, and I'm going to pull that arm back. Now, that's a pretty round loop. If it wasn't a round loop, or I had to, like, I made the loop too loose, so I had to keep rocking to where it got like that D looking loop, that's when you would use your regular round nose pliers to go in and fix that loop. Okay, so we're just wrapping around across the opposite side, and then we're going to cut the wire on the side right where it meets up with that first loop. Being careful not to get this part of your wire caught in the cutters to where you cut that instead. This will make it possible for your bead to set flush up against your loop rather than there being a space. It might need to be trimmed just a little bit. Oh, no, it's just not. This side just isn't pushed up where it needs to be for the loop. There we go. Okay, then you're going to take your pliers. You're going to stick them on your wire, leaving about 1 millimeter of wire exposed so that when you make your bend, there's still room for your pliers to get under that. Okay, we're going to then take our pliers and we're going to go to the 4th step. And we're just going to start winding around until, hey, no, it's just the garbage man. Stop. Scoop. Go. Until your loop is back around to the center of the top square. Then you can either use your fingers or your pliers. I'm going to make sure this is pulled good and tight because when it's thin, a tighter loop, it seems to not need as many adjustments. We're going to make a bend right there that we want to be centered under the opposite loop. I don't know why. This one probably. So it's the center of where the bead came out. We're going to put our square on the other side, like so. And again, we're going to leave about 1 millimeter of space between the bead and your pliers, and you're going to bend back. And we're going to make another small loop. Okay, this will show you what I mean. Okay, because I wasn't further up on my mandrel, I was at the flat point. That's what my loop did. Now, since I noticed it before I wrapped, I can take my pliers and just pull tight. And then I will get that round loop again. That looks neat and tidy. And then again, I'm just going to pull this around to the side. And I'm going to cut. I'm going to do this, straighten this loop to make sure. I'm going to try to cut as close to where that wire is on the side of your loop. Or my looper. Whoever's loop. And now we have the 2 squares with a circle in the middle. And we're going to see what the wrapping looks like if we have 24 gauge. And I'm going to pull out a good length of wire this time, so we can play a little bit more with like wire wrapping it and whatever else. So I'm going to pull out 12-ish inches of 24 gauge wire. I'm going to start on the side with the 2 loops because I feel like that needs to be stabilized first. And if it is, then we won't have to make as many adjustments at the end as we would if we started the wire wrapping on the side with just 1 rotation. So I'm going to start over here. And before I even get started, I'm going to come in with my pliers and very gently press these loops together as much as I can. You don't want to squish so hard that one like goes in while the other one goes out, and now they're sitting on top of one another rather than completely parallel. I'm going to leave some of the length out. So I'm going to pull this down about 4 inches before I start wrapping. And instead of using 26 gauge this time, we are using 24 gauge. And see, I was using 26 gauge, and now all of a sudden, 24 gauge seems so stiff. When intellectually, I know that it's not in the slightest. Wrap that around. And then you want to pull it tight, especially with, now that we're using the thicker wire. Okay, and I'm going to hold on to this side, and I'm going to pull that just so slightly. And I'm just going to push that up, and I'm going to keep wrapping with my wire. Again, you don't have to do all of this after work. I just want to show you variations with this simple wreath. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Brandy. Hi, Mary. It's okay. We are making these links today. And so we did it where there's just the circle in between. We did it where we wire wrapped a bead in the middle of it. We did this square on 22 gauge wire. And now we're doing, this is on 18 gauge wire. We wrapped around it with 26, not this one, on these, using 26 gauge wire. And now we're just playing with the different possibilities. So on this one, I kind of wrapped the wire around in like a curved motion on that side and back down around the other side. And you can just cut off there. You don't have to do any of this. I'm just showing it, like I said, just to hopefully inspire you to give this a try on your own. And yeah, 26 gauge wire would be so much easier to do this with, but I want to try to go around the square and see what it looks like with the thicker wire. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop wrapping right about there with the smaller side because I want to be able to go up and around the square. Okay, so what I did last time and what I advised is to take this wire around and underneath the square before you wrap across. I didn't leave enough space to do it on both sides, but I hadn't done this before. I'm just playing with it on the fly so that you guys can see. Also, we want that curve to be visible, and I didn't make sure that that was the direction my bead was. I just wrapped. So it's possible to go around and do that. I kind of messed it up a bit, but okay, so here's where the kinks can happen. See how that's wanting to cross over itself? I put my finger in there to make sure that didn't happen, and then I'm going to unkink it before I continue to go around. And I just keep my finger in the wire as I wrap to make sure that it doesn't kink. Because kinks equal weakness as well as like breaking. Okay. Squish these wraps together. I don't mind the 24 gauge. I like the 26 gauge wire better. So what I would say is you could do the wraps in 26 gauge and then attach whatever gauge wire you want to by doing a wrap under and around the bead and then going up across the square rather than wrapping all of this up there. So I would just join the wire on like by doing around like that. And then you can come across and go on one side and then down and diagonal on the other side so that you don't have to worry about a front and a back. But like, I think that looks so cool. The 26 gauge wire was just a little bit too thin for my preference. And that's why it's Mary, I would say that you're probably pulling too tight then, because I have not had problems with 26 gauge wire breaking. And I don't know what brand you have available where you live. If the Wire Elements by Beadsmith, if this is available to you, but I did it with copper wire and did the 26 gauge and it went okay. So 28 or 30 gauge, that's a little bit where I start seeing breakage, but again, that's me, not you. And everybody, I don't know what supplies you have, but yeah. Okay, so once I've done that, then I could come over and just start wrapping on this side again. See, it crossed over itself. Oops. I didn't uncross. I crossed it more. And then just start on the other side and wire wrap up. I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to keep this bead or this link because I'm not fond of the 24 gauge, how that looks up against the wire loop. It's just a bit too bulky for me, but that's my design aesthetic. So, and that's the beauty of making your own jewelry. You get to make all of the decisions. You get to decide if you're just leaving the link unwrapped altogether. You get to decide what shape beads you're doing. You get to decide if you're going to put a loop above and below with a bead in the middle. You get to decide all of that. I thought we could try that. Hopefully, I don't know how much wire that would take. I'm going to hope that 4 inches is enough. But we're going to see. So, I don't want it to like be a wrapped loop. That's the only thing. I kind of want it to be like a loop that then another link or beading wire or something could attach them. I'm just not sure exactly how I would manage that, but I'm gonna give it a go. I think I'm gonna try to do the third step and we'll just see how this works. I'm gonna leave a little bit of space there so that I can come around and wrap that around once. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't tried this yet. Nope, it's basically going to be a wrapped loop. You're basically just going to have a wrapped loop, but a larger wrapped loop. I don't necessarily want it to seem, I don't know. Does anybody like seeing what I'm trying to do in my brain? Because I just want there to be like a loop. And this would be if you are a beginner and want something like this. I guess this would be an easy way to do it. It's just a wired wrap bead. The only difference is that you're making large loops. Not small ones. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure. And then you could put a square on and then a larger circle along the bottom. What I should have done probably was make a small wrapped loop and then under that did a circle, put the square on, did another circle, and then did a smaller wrapped loop. Let's try that. I hope this isn't annoying any of you. I'm trying to show you my design process, but I also don't want you guys to be like, oh my gosh, she's doing way too many things. Because I know that I do that. You lost me. I'm sorry, Lynn. Okay. I'm actually going to cut 5 inches since I don't know if this is going to work, but I might need excess space. Oops. So 5 inches, I know it takes about 3/4 of an inch to do a wrapped loop. So I'm just going to bend right there. I'm going to use the first step to do a little wrapped hybrid loop. Standard that I do all the time. Cut the wire, make sure that it's up right up against the loop where it needs to be. And then we're going to cut this. And if there's anything to tuck, do the tucking. And then third loop, fourth loop. I think there's enough room to do the fourth loop. So I'm just going to start rotating this around until it's down and underneath my wrapped loop, like so. Then I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to bend. That did not bend very well. I grabbed the wrong ones. I'm hoping that I'm holding my loop really tight. There we go. Now it's centered, mostly. Again, something we can zhuzh out later. Do we want to put a round bead or a square bead? It'd be kind of cool if we could do it like this. But we would have to do little loops in between them. But even that just looks cool. Okay. Round, square, round, square. Which do I want to do? We might have enough to do little loops. So we could do round, square, round. So let's just try that. I'm just going to wrap around the first little step of my veil making pliers till I'm roughly centered. And then I'm going to put my square on. I know I've got to straighten this up some, and I will. I need to do that. I don't think I wrapped around far enough. We're just playing with wire. I am excited for tonight's video, though. It's going to be stash beads, first of all. Yeah, I don't think there's room to do 3 beads, but we can get 2. I'm pretty confident we can get 2 beads. There we go. Put that bead in, grab my first step, and just kind of wire up around. Oh, nope. I probably needed 6 inches. And if I wanted to do 3 beads, I would probably pull out 7. Yeah. I do want to show you guys a pendant option, though. Where did I put it? I think you guys will like this one. I'm going to cut 5 inches again, just in case. Don't worry, this wire won't be wasted. I will make jump rings out of it. I do try to. Plus, some of these links will be duplicated because, like, you could almost alter between, like, this link and that link, and it would look cool because you'd be going from, like, square to round, square to round. Oh, that's awesome, Lynn. Okay. Did I say I was going to cut 5 or 6 inches? I think 5 will be enough, given we've been using 4 inches. Yeah, 5 will be more than enough. Flip, come down 3/4 of an inch, and do my first bend. Okay, trying to clear some of these tools / beads off my desk. Okay. Just going to turn my loop. I'm going to make sure that I come around like so until I reach where the loop is. This is not very. I did not pull this loop tight. There we go. That's better. Okay, we're going to trim right on the side. That meets up with the loop. Squish it in if necessary. And this is how we're going to turn this into a pendant rather than just a link. We're going to take these faceted clover beads, and we're going to use these instead. So I'm going to do a slight little bend like so. And I think I want to go to the 4th step for the center loop rather than the 3rd, since this is bigger. I'm just going to pull it around. I'm going to hold the loop at about the halfway point and do a little bend. Again, some of this is going to have to be like zhuzhed up. It's not going to be trying to center my top loop with my middle loop. And then we can put the other clover on. Yes. Sorry, for a minute I wasn't sure I was doing the right thing, but I am. We're going to take a bend. We did not need this huge. I'm going to go ahead and do the 2nd step for the loop up top, just so that if I'm connecting to that center loop, it's larger and it's not quite so small. So pull that around. We're going to trim this. Tuck in that end a little bit, and then the zhuzhing begins. And I know this is a smaller loop. I did that on purpose because I'm going to incorporate this with one of the pendants. Do I want these loops perpendicular? Let me see. I want to make sure that it's centered. And that one did slightly. Oh, I need this loop to face the other way. That's why it wasn't making sense. I need my 2 loops to be perpendicular from each other. And I probably should have direct connected the pendant underneath this, but we have this, and then we can go to one of the pendants that we got in the box. We could attach that underneath. You could have also done this with, since these are drilled top to bottom, how cool would it look to have one going that way and the other one coming that way, like that, with the circle in the middle, and then have this hang beneath? Or you could even do it opposite and do it like that with this coming out. I think that would look really cool. Okay. Yeah. And if you didn't want to use the copper one, you could just, if you wanted to keep it more simple, you could do this with copper wire. Obviously, because I have the loops perpendicular to each other, it could, like I said, go on directly underneath. Okay, I will. Gracious said, try it, Heather. Gotcha. Loud and clear. We will do that. I'm still going to keep this one because I love that. And in fact, I'm sitting here like looking at these tassels up at the top of my thing, saying, how cool would that look with like a nice tassel underneath it? I mean, I I don't know. I don't know if you guys like the videos like this. I'm just trying to inspire you and get rid of your fear of trying things like this because like I was talking to Cheryl last night and she um sorry. She told me that the growth within my last couple of months that it has gone to a whole other level than it was before. And I think that's when I stopped being afraid of trying things, trying new things, playing around with wire, doing all of that kind of stuff. That was about the time that I did it. And then I also, about 6 weeks ago, said, I'm going to start making designs that aren't on video. And the thing is when I'm not having to teach and talk and I'm just designing, other ideas hit me and I'm able to sit and write them down and, go from there. But like, this little link could take you so you could just do so much with it. That's all I was thinking. I also have these. I wonder where is the other sticker with the red jasper in it. I'm not sure. I know it's just my numbers seem to drop a lot when I play like this. So then I get self-conscious and stop doing it on camera. Like I play around with it off camera and then bring it to you with, you know. So, all right, I'm going to pull out about, let's do, I think I'm going to do like 6.5 inches. Also, sometimes when I'm like playing like this and I'm teaching you, um, it like the comments stop because everybody's just watching. But I also know that I've been demonstrating this for an hour and a half now, so that could be a lot of it. Give myself the 3/4 of an inch to make my top loop. Just gonna go ahead and bring this around. Trim it on the side. And what I did just then, my wire was pointed at an angle down. And I think that is why I wasn't getting as much of a, I was getting excess wire. It's because it wasn't pointed correct, like straight out. It was pointed down at an angle. So I hope that you guys did not misinterpret what I just say. I love when you guys chitter chatter in the comments. I absolutely love it. I'm not saying that. I don't want anybody to say that like I'm complaining that you guys are having a conversation. I can't wait to see Beth's hair and see how it all looks and whatnot. But so that's not what I was saying. I think I'm gonna go like this so that when we connect it to the bottom, the 2 points are meeting. I think that will give us the best look that we want. And I'm probably just going to use this plain jasper. First of all, look at that. The little swoopy swoop on it and the variation of color right there. The other side isn't quite as interesting, but that side is just so pretty. Hi, Delon. Oh, thank you, Delon. I appreciate that. Oh, just a quick reminder before I start this. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, I would really appreciate it. If there's something you'd like me to do, just let me know. Oh no, I did the wrong thing. Dang it. If I was going to do this, I needed to connect here. If I was going to go in the other direction, I wanted this to be a larger loop. I don't want to not have enough wire. How much wire do I have left here? Underneath the loop. Okay, so we have some of that. This should be enough, I hope. Let me put these on. I'm going to put them on with like this 8mm bead so that I can gauge. Yeah, that I should have more than enough wire to do that. Okay, so it's okay. We'll do this. I'm going to go ahead and trim this off. I'm going to make a new loop and attach it to our pendant right here. No, I want to do the top first. I just need to come down a little bit further. Hope I still have room. I'm going to do the third step. I obviously didn't leave myself enough wire. That was great. Or I did, just not. I made it hard on myself, is what I'm trying to say. If this will even go down to where it's supposed to be. I literally had exactly enough wire to wrap that just around till it hit the loop. I had just enough. There's nothing to cut off. Oh my goodness, that was a close one. It's just beads and wire though. This is supposed to be about having fun. Okay. We have it this way. We're going to put the first loop up like so. I want this loop to be facing me when I go to design so that I'm able to easily attach to wires because I'll probably do some links. I don't know what I'm going to do to finish it up, but it'll be pretty. So I'm going to just bend it slightly to the side. And am I going to stick to the fourth step or do I want to go bigger? Yeah, I'm going to try the fifth step. Like so. Grab right there and give myself a little bit of a bend. I may have been too far out when I did that. Let's see. Yeah, it was. Oh. I don't know what I just did. I wanted to do a bigger bend and I didn't do it. And I don't know why. I stopped. And I pulled off 20 gauge wire, not 18 gauge. That was part of it. Okay. Like I said, all of this gets used either for other links that I make jump rings, I do any of that. So I'm going to come down about 1.25 inches since I want to have a larger loop. No, it only needs to be the second step. Second step with 18 gauge will be fine. So I don't have to bend it down quite as far. I don't know if I told you, but I got a message from Rosanna yesterday saying that she put the plier, like the handle covers, she somehow managed to get those mailed. But with her show and all of that, packing, so Steve temporarily super glued this until the package comes. I'm not sure I'm a fan of that set of tools that I got. One of the bales don't even have the leaf springs on it, which I don't understand why. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can fix this. I only wanted this to be with the second step, and I still did it with the third step. I just feel like I'm going to have to use way too big of a circle in the middle to make it not look over without making it look like it didn't have enough space or whatever. I got it. I got it. That again is a trick that I just tried once and it worked. Instead of just scrapping the wire entirely. So there we go. Okay. Okay. Back to the bead. Okay. And then we're going to go this way. And I think I want to do the 5th step in between our teardrops. And see, this is much like making the butterfly veil. So if you've ever done my butterfly veil, this will, I feel like this will be a lot easier for you because you're already used to going over a mandrel twice. So hopefully that will make this easier for you. And at the end, I can come in and grab this with my flat nose pliers and give it a bit of a bend so it centers underneath the teardrop just a tad bit better, like so. And then I'm going to come down. And I'm going to bend this in the middle of that. I'm going to hold on to both of those loops and just kind of straighten out my wire a little bit to make sure we're not having to do like a lot. Okay, and then we're going to put our other teardrop on like so. And we will make sure everything lines up at the end. Obviously, you don't need 6 or even 7 inches. You could probably, I probably still could have done this with like only 5 inches. So, but it might serve us because I might be able to do like a spiral on this. So, you never know. Okay, I'm going to bend this slightly out because that's the direction it needs to be for our teardrop to be able to go on it. Going to do the first step. I think the first step will be big enough to get that teardrop on. I'm going to open up my loop. I'm going to thread the red jasper teardrop. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Okay, the first step is too small. So I'm just going to bend this back out. I'm going to put it around my second step. Put my teardrop on and I hope this works. The 2 steps should be big enough for it to go around on. Come on. Okay. Nope. It's going to have to be jumping. Darn it. I didn't want that. Anybody have any ideas of how to put it on? Hi, Leah. I hope physical therapy went okay. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to do this. Like if I do more of a teardrop shape, haha, if that will help. Hold on to my loops. Try to straighten this wire out if possible. It is 18 gauge wire. If it wasn't 18 gauge wire, I would not even be attempting to salvage this. Okay. So what I'm thinking is that I can put it on here, bend this up, and then go around. Kind of like so. That's too close. Come out just a little bit more. Hold on to this. That needs to be facing that way. Okay. No, I'm going to have to use a different piece of wire. Maybe. I'm just going to try to wrap this and see if I can't then like create a little bit more space using my little pliers to kind of just come in and work this out. There's a little bit of a bend there, so come in with my pliers and just kind of try to face this down a little bit more, hoping that it will go into that little opening right there. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look as great as I wish it did. It just doesn't have movement. It barely can go side to side. And I definitely don't want that to be the case. I think the trick would be, guys, would be to have put the mandrel in like this and kind of just left a really loose bend in the wire to put the bead on and then make the loop from that point forward. So I'm going to give it one more go. If you guys want to stick around, you're more than willing to stick around. You have to get about your day. That is also understandable. I've been looking up to see if my phone lit up. But if a call was coming, I wouldn't want to miss it. I have it right in front of me. So if I am needed, that was weird. I've never had that happen before. There's like a section of wire there. I have no idea how that happened. Okay, I do know that I don't need 7 inches though. I'm going to go down to 6. Cut my wire. Doing so at about 6 inches. Then coming down 3/4 of an inch. And bending so I can make my first loop, which is the little one. So maybe I should start with this one. Okay, that's too little of a bend. So let's grab the mandrel and kind of just slowly push it up and around like so. Nope, a little bit bigger. I think it was a very good idea to start with this one. I'm just kind of inching around it a little bit to try to make it where we need it. Nope, a little bit bigger, which is okay. That's what the step bail making pliers are for. They're there so that you can try out. There we go. It doesn't have like a ton of movement, but it can still move. So let me see what the fifth step would look like. See if that gives it a bit the movement that it needs. There we go. It does indeed. Okay, now that it's on, we can squeeze these together. Not like right under, because like I said, I still want it to move. How am I gonna do this? I almost need these to go and like come up and around and then go in. Same on the other side. Come up and around and then go in. And I only need enough wire to go around it once. It took away the movement. Ugh. Let's try this. This might have to be attached with a jump ring. It might not work at all the way I'm hoping it would, but there's nothing. This is why these I only use to tuck things and why I had to buy a second pair of these ones. Because you'll see that that's why I call these my Randy pliers, because I got them from Randy. And should anything happen to one of them, I need to remember where I got them so that I'd be able to replace them. I also like to have 2 of all of my tools. I wonder if I can get use my little method that I use on my loops to try to make this a little bit rounder. I'm worried about what the next teardrop is going to look like above it. That's my concern now, is that I want it to look nice. So if I have to attach it with a jump ring in order for it to look nice, then that's what I will do, because I still think that this will be really pretty regardless of how it goes on, and I'm not sure. I just feel like that's really far away. Obviously the wire is mingled too, so yeah, I think it's gonna have to be a jump ring situation. You too, Heather. Where did my other little teardrop go? There's that one. Oh, here it is. I'm making a whole bunch of jump rings and or infinity links with this 18 gauge wire situation. I don't want it that way. Okay, so I'm going to bend it that way. Then I just have to decide if I want to do the fourth or the fifth step. I think I'm going to go for the fifth step. I think it'll look really pretty that way. So there, I've gone around it. Make sure that loop is facing the right way real quick. Use your nylon jaws. Pliers. I want the interchangeable ones that come with round, square, and oval, and they're all nylon jaw plier heads. And I really think I'm going to end up returning this other set because it's not for me. And grab the other set. Okay. This one goes down right up against that circle. It needs to be this. These should not all be fit. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. They can all fit the same. It'll work. If I could figure out how to make that look like a heart, I would be so excited. We're going to use the second step to do what will be our top loop. So there is plenty of room for however I attach beads onto this pendant. Pull that around. A little too far to be able to get a nice close cut. There we go. Okay, hold on to this, turn that. Turn that. There we go. I kind of need to move that. And then I have to just, oh no, this can't go this way. Yes, it can. Yes? No? I think it can. It sounds like that. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. Let's get to the I thought I could portion of that little childhood story. I'm going to make a couple. I'm probably going to need at least a 2-step jump ring in order to go in that jasper. So that's what I'm going to cut right now. And if I have to go to like too big of one with the 18 gauge, I would switch to a smaller gauge jump ring and just work harden it so that it fit. Okay. It's only a tad bit too small. Okay, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to close this jump ring back up. I'm going to stick it on my round nose pliers. And I know it needs to be about that much bigger, which going from the second step to the third step would be way too big of a jump. So that's why I'm going to wrap the jump ring on this mandrel instead of my 6-step loopers like I normally do to make jump rings. And again, that's the beauty of being able to make your own loops and findings and whatever. In the more you play with it, and I get it, craft wire can get expensive, guys. I know it can. I know that, like, just trying to go through all of the wire that I just did could be overwhelming. So that's in there, but the inside isn't quite touching. So I'm just going to very carefully squeeze that closed. And then I'm going to finish fixing this up. I need to use my little pliers. And there we go. We have a Y pendant that we can now make the necklace to go with it. I'm very happy with this. I hope I did not thoroughly bore you and make you all freaked out about trying to play with wire as if it's too hard. I would just say that as difficult as that was to like figure out exactly how I was going to attach this, I will probably bring the wire up and down and around so that I can fill in that gap right there, because that will drive me crazy. So there's that gap right there. So if when I'm wire wrapping, I come down and around the teardrop and around the bottom right here, then A, it takes up that space. B, it opens up to the possibility of doing something on the front of this pendant. But we made this pendant. We made this pendant. It needs a little more zhuzhing, but it goes that way, first of all. That way. It's just the wire moving. So we made this pendant. We did We used the link. We made some just by themselves with nothing. I believe we wrapped one that didn't have a bead in it, though I could be wrong. So we got this. We I don't know what we were doing here. Oh yeah, I wanted to do another big loop around there. So we played around and got this. If I really wanted to, I could cut this right there and still use this for something. Maybe a pair of earrings. I don't know, but we got that. We wire wrapped a bead into the center of a couple of these. That was the, so we did this first, and then we kind of played with bringing the wire up and across the bead there. We played around with the using 24 gauge over 26 gauge. Not a fan personally. We did a link of this with square beads with the round in the middle and the interchangeable mandrels. If I had those, I so would have done a square in the middle of these two squares. And I'm probably going to have to order those like ASAP because I like them. You know, we have this one too. So we got a lot accomplished. I could probably put a circle down at the bottom of this. There's no reason for it to have a loop if I just wanted, if I didn't want, like, I could make the bigger loop without then also doing a wire wrapped loop, is what I was saying. Not that we wouldn't need that loop, but now I know some of you are going to be like, I wish you would have done that. So I'm going to. So we go there, and then if we did, I believe we were doing it on the third step. And we just brought this around. There would be just enough wire to hopefully I will wire wrap that little bit of wire down and around this loop. I must have done this with the fourth step, but it's okay. The goal today was to inspire you guys to play. And then maybe if you have seen a link on another channel, on my channel, another channel, wherever, don't think that you have to just stick to making those links exactly as they were originally designed, because you don't. Like, people came up with stuff like this by playing with, you know, this way, and then, oh, I wonder if I could do that. All of us as designers that have ever tried to design a loop or whatever else, we practiced and mucked up and a lot of wire until we got the look that we were going for, nightmare. So that's all I was trying to do. I hope that you got this and that you liked it. That's a really good idea, Leah. Yeah, you could have this hanging down and then have it V at the top with some more beads coming up. That would look really pretty. I am very happy with the way this turned out. The little bit of movement here, that is such an easy fix. Like, there will be a necklace made out of this. Probably as soon as we get off of here, because now I want to know what that's going to look like. And then I'll get back to prepping for the sale. And for tonight's project, which is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to do it with all of you guys. So it'll be fun. So I'll show it to you when we reconvene in, do we want to go 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, or did we like last week when we went to 6 o'clock? Because then that would be 9 o'clock, and I know that it's a weeknight, and that at least here in Arizona, it's already a school night. So what do you guys think? Later, earlier? If we go earlier, then I'll see you in 3.5 hours. If we go later, then I will see you in 4.5 hours. Thank you, Tina and Leah. I appreciate you guys. You had a question. Hold on. Let me go see. Where did you get the flower / cobra shaped beads? I think I got them off of Amazon. So I can go look them up. I don't have as many as I used to have. Let me see. I only have one more. So let me see if I found them on Amazon or not. And yeah, let me see if I can find them, and I will let you know either between now and tonight or tonight when we log back on. Thank you for telling me that it was up here. 5 p.m. for me, it's too late here. 6. Yeah, I know, Beth. I went up and looked for it. They're just faceted. Either quatrefoil is the name for it, is one of the names for it, is quatrefoil, and some of them, they're known as clover. I have quite a few flower carnelian beads that I was planning on putting in the sale on Saturday. But yeah, did anybody else snag the bundle yesterday? Thank you, Lynn. Did anybody snag it last night? I got one. I loved it. If I could have just bought all the different snake accessories, I would have, but the beads that is coming with it, I'm just ecstatic for. So, let me see real quick. I'm just gonna search my orders for red jasper. See what pops up. It's pulling up every single bead I've ever ordered. Well, that's annoying. Yeah, it's still pulling up everything on my phone. If I do it on the computer, it's more precise for some reason. But anyways, all right, ladies, I will see you all later, hopefully. And until then, happy beading.